be about the importance of content. So like for example, it starts with the basic superficial level of data. Are very particular that the minimum required levels for you. What all can be talked on any issue, especially from the SSB point of view. You should know their opinion because they have spent about 20, 30 years on that subject and then they are talking. Hello my dear friends and my dear aspirants. See, today I have come again and with a new aspect and a very very important aspect that I will be covering today. So what I am going to speak on in this video would be about the importance of content in the whole SSB process. See, the depth of knowledge is of importance. So there's a depth of knowledge which is given. So like for example, it starts with the basic superficial level of data. That means you have on any issue or any view that you have or any opinion that you have or any subject that you're trying to cover. It could be current affairs, it could be some social issue which is there, or it could be some defense knowledge which is you're trying to prepare on the Indian Army, Indian Navy or the Indian Air Force or the Coast Guard, whatever SSBs you are going to give. See, you're collecting. So one is the data. How many ships, how many aircrafts, what is the tanks that we have. That could be a data which is have. Say India is the fourth largest Air Force and the so-and-so army and the so-and-so things. That is the data. Second comes is slightly, you go deep, it becomes information. When you collate all these data, it becomes information. So next is the knowledge. That means once you have a few knowledge on various aspects, then further deeper it becomes knowledge. And once you have the requisite knowledge for any issue, then you start making opinions and views on that, and that is the insight that you have on that subject. And finally you become a subject matter expert. That is the wisdom part. And we here in the SSB are very particular that the minimum required levels for you to be able to come to the SSB is the insight that you have, the opinions that you form, the views that you have, the wisdom that you have, especially in the personal matters, in an interview. Because they are talking about you out there. Why have you taken that decision in your education? Why have you taken the decision as far as family is concerned? Why have you taken the decision on your hobbies, interests and all? So this is the questions that are asked. So that is where the wisdom comes in, because it's about you. Nobody else knows you better than you. So different aspects you will have to cover different parts of the whole depth of content. And my suggestion is there, and my advice to you would be, so all issues that you're preparing on in the content, you should be able to have an insight on that. And that is where you will have to use radial thinking. So I would suggest that you understand the concept of radial thinking rather than linear thinking. Because now you're all getting matured. You are all in the business of getting a kind of a career option where your views will count, and radial thinking is a very very critical method of understanding all the issues which would be expected out of you in any SSB. So having said that, when it actually comes to the talking points, so there are a few aspects that you have to keep in mind when you're talking to somebody. So I will help you in this regard as to what all can be talked on any issue, especially from the SSB point of view. And you can correlate it to your lives also. Say in your professional careers, or whenever you're talking to your friends or your teachers, friends, boss, it could be anybody. So I have collated about 10 important things that you can use as a talking point when you are conversing with others. The first being obviously the data, facts, figures, statistics. You should, for any issue, you should have that. The second thing that I would tell you is work on the background of the issue or the history of the issue. You should know that. How did it land up in that? The third important thing is the present status of the issue. So once you know the present status, you should know the background or the history of that issue. The next important thing that should come to mind is what are the challenges of the issue. or the subject that you're discussing. Any subject, for example, if you talk about, say, any issue that the challenges in the defense forces, there would be challenges, you should know. Then important comes is the pros and cons of the issue, or the advantages and disadvantages. It could be there. Like for example, a topic like the social media. What are the advantages and disadvantages? So many topics would have an advantage or a disadvantage or a pros and cons. Opinion of subject matter experts. Who are the subject matter experts in the issue that you're dealing with? We should know their opinion because they have spent about 20, 30 years on that subject and then they are talking. That is where the source of the issue becomes important. And my advice to you would be go to the subject matter experts directly who are in that business to understand the concept. Don't use middlemen to understand. That would be a very shortcut method of being able to express yourself correctly and creating your own content for the SSB. Subject matters could be an individual. See, like for example, if you're discussing about missiles, who's the subject matter expert? Obviously, Dr. Abdul Kalam. He's a subject matter expert in missiles. Similarly, organizations. You should be aware who's the subject matter expert in the organization. Like for example, Indian economy. Who's the subject matter expert organization? It could be SEBI. It could be the finance ministry or the government of India. In the world scenario, it could be the World Bank or the IMF. So, who are the individuals and who are the organization? What is their opinion on the subject? That you should be aware of. And next comes your own opinion. And your opinion will come when the other things are taken care of. You can't just make an opinion without knowing the background or just knowing the statistics. Say for example, if you don't play cricket and you're giving an opinion saying that Tendulkar's square cut is not good enough, that would be a wrong way of giving an opinion because you yourself have not played cricket, you yourself don't know the nuances, and you're giving an opinion without doing the things yourself. So whenever you're giving an opinion, you should know about the subject, then only you can give an opinion. Otherwise, that opinion or that view is hollow. That will come up, so when the interviewer is looking at you or the GT is looking, he will know your background, from which background you're coming. And you're just talking out of cuff. It should not be the case. The next important thing that you should take care is obviously the way forward or the future. How do you look at this issue in the future? What is the way forward this or a solution to the issue if it is a problem? You should have an opinion on that. What is the future way ahead? Next important thing that you can cover is you can use a quote or an idiom or a saying. It could be Hindi, English, Sanskrit, whatever. If it is apt to explain yourself, that's a very good way of explaining. Use that. So for that you will have to do reading so that you can correlate various things, especially from important people, which is relevant to that topic. You can use that when you're creating your content. The next important thing would be giving examples. Examples is a very good method of conveying and creating your content in such a way that you know about the subject. So I would suggest that there are 4 ways in which you can give example. One obviously is personal examples in an interview or in the group discussion. See, there's a topic which comes on social media. See, I am part of the social media and this is what I've been using and this is the problem that I face. So you can give a personal example, or in the interview you can say, sir, this you have asked me, this is how I have experienced. Personal examples. It could be examples from your friends and relatives. So sir, my cousin, my friend, my father, my mother have experienced that. My aunt, my uncle. See, my cousin went abroad and that is what they face. If in case you want to talk about geopolitics, see, and your friend or relative has gone to US, so you are talking about Indo-US relations. It could be an example that you give. The third way of giving examples obviously would be from history, which most of us do. Okay, this happened in the history. It could be as early as last year, last month, last week, or 10 years back, 100 years back, 1000 years back. You can give examples from history to explain your issue, how it has come in. So that is one beautiful way of explaining to the other person by giving example. And fourth one, which is a very important one, though it is a part of the history itself, but I have tried to categorize it separately, which is an analogy. Try to give an analogy as to, I feel for this issue, this is how it is, and this has been done in this case also. So whatever we did there is the same thing that I have no view here. So it can be an analogy. So these are a few ways in which you can become much more effective in public speaking, and which is a very critical element in the whole SSB process, because as I told you earlier, this is not a written exam. At least in the two, that is the interview and the GTO, you will have, it's a viva kind of exam where you are being assessed. Psych test ke liye, which we will cover in a separate session. I will not cover up that queue. What has to be done, it's a written exam. In the psych test, what you have to do, we will cover it in different video. But today's video, the idea is to make you understand how important it is to talk. So there are these 2-3 concepts which I have tried to introduce. Think about it, work upon it, become an effective speaker for the SSB, which is a critical element. And with that, I'll end this video. Share it with others so that others can benefit, and also hit the notification button so that you know when the next input is coming to you to understand the SSB process. Thank you very much.